In this one, we're going to create our own custom signal to update our matches after a user actually saves their user answer. Now, to do this, we have to first define a signal itself and then go from there and actually use it. Now, you might remember back when we defined our get match user match receiver. So this is that logged user logged in signal that we used to actually implement a way to do some data once another action actually happens. So in this one, we are going to not only create a receiver function like we did with another signal, but we're also going to send that signal. So to create this, we're going to put it into the matches, and we're going to make a new file in here, and we're going to call it signals.py. And from Django.dispatch, import signal class, and then we're just going to call it matches update or user matches update. Let's call it user matches update, and you could even call it signal if you'd like, but I'm just going to call it user matches update. And then it's going to be the signal class, and we're going to add in a list of providing arguments, so arguments that have to be in there. And the only one we're going to do is user. Now, if you wanted to do more customization to how the signal is going to work, this is where you would do it, or at least what the arguments that need to be sent with the signal. This is where and how you would do it. All right, so now that we have the signal, let's actually implement the receiver function first. So in the matches model, this is where we're actually going to put it. So above utils, we'll do from .signals import user matches update. Right, so that's the name of the signal. And just like what we've done before, I'm going to put it under the match class, and I'll define user matches update receiver, and it's going to take in a sender and a user, and then any args or other keyword args, we can put those in there too. That's if we ever added anything to it. And then I'm just going to say print updating for now, and then we will connect it with the user matches update.connect, and we're going to use the user matches receiver, the update receiver. All right, so this is actually connecting it as we've seen before, but how do we actually implement it? So where I want to exist is when we actually save that user answer. So instead of questions.views for single, we're going to add it in here after the user answer. So this is actually where I want to add it. So I have to import it from, and I'm going to do it above the relative imports. So from matches.signals import get or user matches update. And now underneath user, we'll do user.send. And the user is going to be the actual user. So user equals to request.user. Right, so that's the user that's actually adding it. And then we need to add in a sender. And I'm going to add in the model class for the instance that's being in there. So if I just did instance.__class__, that gives me the model class, and that's how we want to send our sender anyway. We want that class to come through. All right, cool. So this is actually looping in all that stuff. So let's go ahead and try it out. I want to run the server, and I want to check on my home page. I added another question, so if you don't have any questions added, of course, you wouldn't want to add a question and make sure that you can do that here. So I'm going to answer this question, hit save and continue. And we got a little typo on the class call there. Should only be 2 underscores before and after. All right, so let's go back into the home page. I'm going to have to add another question. So let's go ahead and do that. New equipment, or do you make do with what's there? Need new, make do, and yeah, that works. Okay, so there's another question. Go back into the home page. Now we've got there. New equipment, or do you make do what's there? And we'll just say need new, and hit save and continue. There we go. So if we look into our terminal, we should see it says updating. So that's coming, of course, from our receiver function right here. So now we actually need to create that update. So make some sort of update for this particular user. Now we don't have a query set method to do this at this point. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to call it define update for user. And we'll do self and user. And the query set is going to be self.get query set. And then we'll do matches for the user. If you remember the query set manager right here, that's showing that. And now we'll do for Q in query set, so or for instance in query set, instance dot do up or do match, and then we'll just return true. So this is going to go through and update all of the matches for the user that they already have. It's not creating those new matches. It's not like seeing if there's new users and making matches out of them. It's just updating the matches for every single user because we've just created something for it. So now that we've got this, let's go back into our or scroll down a little bit into our receiver function, and now we'll do match.objects.update for user, and the user is user, of course. And so we'll say updated equals to, and then now we'll just print updated. All right, so let's go back into our admin, and I'm going to actually delete a couple questions in here for that specific user. So if I refresh in here, there should be a couple questions that we can use. So there we go, open floor plan, so on and so forth. So I have these questions that haven't been answered. Okay, so that's one user. And it actually did update our matches, so all these changed a little bit. So let's log in as, let's say, Lucy, and password's 123. We log in, and now we've got this new questions that I can answer. So open floor plan, coffee, let's say tea, new equipment, let's say make do. There we go. And now if I refresh, I see that my matches have changed quite a bit. So J Mitchell 3 also has different matches. So if we log in as J Mitchell 3, Lucy is now that top match because it's updating these matches as we update our questions, which is pretty important. So now that we have the ability to update our questions inside of our matches once we answer questions, and we also update them when they log in with this right here, it's actually giving us a nice go at what we have as far as our users are concerned, which is pretty cool. So this receiver function right here is probably not the greatest function because it's coming through and it's actually going to get a good number of them and loop through all that. But what we could do here is have a separate process that's actually working for this, or having some sort of deferred task to actually run these bigger functions and bigger calls and making sure that it's going through and matching everybody with everybody else. But that's not something we're going to cover in this class. That's a little bit beyond the context of that. But now we're getting really close to having something that's fairly solid. So let's go ahead and stop for a second. And the next one, we're going to create a new user and then go through the process and see and make sure that we're actually getting matches. If we're not, then we'll make some changes or fix some things that we might need. All right, so if you have any questions on creating custom signals and how they work, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.